What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you through the ultimate guide to the upcoming Game Week 24. So Game Week 24 might be the last normal game week for a while. Obviously, double Game Week 25 coming up, blank Game Week 26, and then blank Game Week 29. So one of the last weeks for us to actually prepare for the upcoming hectic schedule. So in this ultimate guide, I'll be going over some talking points relating to the upcoming doubles and the upcoming blanks. I'll be touching on the stats review as always and the captaincy debate right at the end, so make sure that you guys stick around for that. Now that Game Week 23 has concluded, hopefully you guys didn't bench Foden or like myself bench Garnacho, and turned out to actually be quite a solid game week after Erling Haaland returned on his return. But now all our attention turns to Game Week 24, double Game Week 25 and blank Game Week 26, so that's something you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So as always with these ultimate guides, I'm going to start off with the stats review. I'll be going over the attacking numbers and then the defensive numbers, covering the entire season as a whole, as well as the last few game weeks. So let's head on straight to those attacking numbers over the entire season, and we do have a new number one squad, and it's going to be Newcastle, leading the way with 2.03. Following up close here is going to be Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Everton, and finally Spurs. So yes, Everton have crept back into the top 6, which just shows how good of a season they're actually having for one of the underrated sides. So if you guys don't have those Newcastle assets from an attacking point of view, they look pretty strong, and that's how I really feel for you Gordon owners, because you could have hauled in Game Week 23 and onwards. Other than them though, with the upcoming double game week for Liverpool and Man City, a triple up or at least a double up is almost essential, so please jump on those assets as soon as possible. Then on the right hand side, we're going to be going over the worst attacking numbers, so if you guys have defenders facing these squads, the chance of a clean sheet should be quite strong, and that's Sheffield United, Burnley, Forest, Crystal Palace, Fulham and finally Luton. So unfortunately these sides haven't really kicked off from an attacking point of view, so if you guys can maybe piece together some consistent kind of fixtures against these squads, your defender should hopefully haul. Now these numbers will be from the entire season, so just remember that when we do go over these numbers, and obviously per 90 minutes. The reason the per 90 minutes is going to be quite integral is when we do switch to the kind of form metric, and this will be the last 6 to 7 game weeks. Unfortunately some teams are blanked, doubled, that sort of thing, so the number of games per game week has been skewed off. So some teams have played 6 games and some teams have played 7. On the left hand side, over the last few game weeks, yet again Newcastle showing why they have improved over the entire season. 2.39 XG non-penalty per game, followed closely by Arsenal. So these two sides recently have definitely been the two most attacking squads in the Premier League, and that's why they have my attention even though they don't double in 25. Next up though, Liverpool still pretty consistent with 2.09, but here's where the surprise is, Luton with 1.91. So yes, Luton over the last 6 or 7 game weeks have had a better XG on penalty than Aston Villa. They're currently tied with Man City, which is saying a lot. So should we be looking at these assets with their upcoming double game weeks? If you guys don't know, Luton might potentially have a double game week in 28 as well, and therefore they could be quite attractive options with 2 double game weeks in close comparison. Now let's see if things have switched up on the right hand side. So the worst XG on penalty squads, Crystal Palace, Burnley, West Ham United, Fulham, and finally Forest. So we've said this, if you guys have a Jared Bowen, West Ham haven't been the best attacking side. As a Garnacho owner, not too disheartened there by the United stats. After his brace in Game Week 23, all I need is minutes from him, as I kind of need him in the blank game weeks. But some consistencies between the entire season for the kind of best attacks and the worst attacks. All I can say is that Arsenal and Man City should be targeted with their double game weeks and strong attacking numbers. Now the next talking point will be the defensive numbers, and as you guys know, I've actually split this up into 2 different stats. The best defenses will be rated by expected clean sheets, and that's going to be Arsenal at the top with 0.44. Man City following closely, but these 2 defenses have definitely been the 2 best defenses the entire season, but they are followed by Liverpool, Aston Villa, Newcastle, and finally Bournemouth. So yes, if you guys have watched these ultimate guides every single game week, you know recently Bournemouth's defense has been rock solid, and that's helped them creep into the overall stat as the 6th best defense. So if you guys are looking for some defenders, some cheap ones, Bournemouth might be the answer. But with enough money in the bank with Mo Salah out, I think you guys can spend some more cash. So as a double Arsenal defensive owner, pretty happy with seeing them at the top. And if Trent can come back to full fitness, Liverpool's numbers are also improved. Now on the right hand side, we'll be going over the worst defenses from an XG conceded point of view, and that's Luton, Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham, Burnley, and finally Newcastle. So we actually saw this kind of weird phenomena a few weeks ago. How can Newcastle be on the best defenses and the worst defenses? Well, let me break it down. When they do have a chance of a clean sheet or are going to keep a clean sheet, they have a high chance of that, but when they don't keep a clean sheet, they're conceding a ton of XG conceded. So put it this way, they are facing Sheffield United, they basically concede 0 XG, but then they face Man City and concede about 5 XG. That's going to reflect in the overall numbers. So what this tells us is that unfortunately Newcastle haven't been that great, but I don't think any of us are going to be buying a Trippier with no double game weeks coming up. Other than them though, pretty kind of understandable bottom sides. And all I can say is that if you can predict which kind of Man City defender features for the double game week, you might strike gold. Now over the last 6 or 7 game weeks, we've had some changes here. You can see that Bournemouth's recent form is continuing, 0.42, and they just edged by Arsenal at 0.46. We then have Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man City, and finally Chelsea. So quite interesting that Man City's numbers have dipped off recently. Now here's where things do break up a bit when we do look over the XG conceded over the last 6 or 7 game weeks. You guys can see Newcastle at the top by a lot with 2.73. I don't really know what's happened to them over the past few game weeks. We then have Fulham, Spurs, another team that you might worry about, Sheffield United, Brentford, and finally Crystal Palace. And Spurs is the worrying one as a Pedro Porro owner. So we've actually seen this recently. The transfer clean sheet from Spurs has dipped off dramatically. They simply aren't the best defense at the moment, and with Pedro Porro's attacking threat kind of edging off, he might be a definite sell. The one team I also want to point out is going to be Fulham. If you guys know, Dom Solanke and Bournemouth face Fulham this week, and I might actually be looking to sell Dom Solanke for Darwin Núñez. So this could be an absolute disaster, could come back to bite us. The Fulham XG conceded recently hasn't been great, and Burnley have actually been slightly improved. Also, maybe you have to change the look of that Newcastle game. Is it actually an easy one for the next few game weeks? But I do expect them to bounce back fairly shortly. So definitely some surprises in terms of the defensive numbers over the recent form. Let's see if it plays out in the future game weeks. Now if you guys do want to go over any other stats, go over to Fantasy Football Fix. Their OptaStats sandbox every stat that you might desire, not just the ones I covered on screen. Now the next talking point I want to go over is just a reminder about when you guys are watching this on Wednesday. Wednesday night we do have a FA Cup replay of the 4th round. So as you guys know, they drew in the fixture and therefore have to have a replay. And that'll be taking place tonight, and why this is integral is it does give us a prediction of blank game week 29. So whoever loses this fixture will definitely have a confirmed game, and those games are actually quite strong. We have West Ham for Aston Villa and Arsenal for Chelsea, and I personally own some players from both these teams. So out of these two fixtures, who would I prefer? Got the double up in Arsenal, got Cole Palmer, but then have Ollie Watkins and potentially Konza when he comes back from injury, and Areola between the sticks kind of evens it out. But this could have implications on your future transfer plans. For example, if Cole Palmer doesn't blank, I might not sell him, but if he does, might be an easier sell to be honest. So I just want to remind you guys, don't make those early transfers yet, maybe wait till this Wednesday game has concluded if you want to do them, as a massive amount of information and planning can be had after this fixture. Now the next bit of planning and potential news might come for those Liverpool assets. I personally am waiting for 2 players, that's Mo Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, as I could actually bring both these players into my squad for double game week 25. So let's talk about the play on the left there, the Egyptian Mo Salah. The latest news we had was Jurgen Klopp last week telling us that he's going to miss the upcoming game and the next game, referring to game week 23 and game week 24. So if Mo Salah does miss game week 24, don't really think the chance of him starting both games in 25 is that likely. But the fact is, if he is back for game week 25, I might be put off someone like a Jota because of rotation. Yes, Jota's a great option at the moment, but I do think that Klopp prefers Darwin Núñez up top, but I might actually avoid both of them because of that rotation potentially. Now if Mo Salah's back for game week 24, he gets some minutes like an Erling Haaland did in game week 22, I might look at actually bringing him in for the upcoming double game week as a differential. So yes, I personally have enough money in the bank to afford Mo Salah for a straight swap, so let's hope for some more information before that game week 24 deadline. Now they're playing the right hand side, Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's a little bit more easier here. He played about 56 minutes against Arsenal on the weekend. But if you guys saw the kind of news report, Connor Bradley was expected to start. You guys know that he missed out for personal reasons, but others kind of indicate that Trent is not fully fit. And Jurgen Klopp in the post-interview also said that Trent can't play 90 minutes at the moment. Obviously, if he plays minutes in game week 24 against Burnley, hopefully 60 minutes if you guys do own him, he should be fine for double game week 25. But just something to take into account as I don't own him and therefore would have to buy him. So both these two options, I'm waiting to see what happens in terms of news, but as mentioned, both of them on my watch list. Now the next talking point I want to go over relates to double game week 25 and who are the best options to actually target if you guys are looking for some transfers in. Now first thing I want to just say is that if you guys do own Liverpool assets and Man City assets, I just keep hold of whoever you guys do own. For example, with the Trent, seen some people over on Twitter wanting to take him out. I definitely wouldn't. And if you have a Jota, a Darwin, even a Salah, you might as well just keep hold of them for the next game week. Now, if I was to give my prediction of who's the best option to actually bring in, I definitely think it's going to have to be Man City assets and therefore Kevin De Bruyne, as I currently do own Phil Foden and Erling Haaland. In terms of Kyle Walker or Edison, I think the upside might be there, but I just think I'd rather go for Kevin De Bruyne in the midfield department, as I trust the attack more than the defense. Now, the reason I think Man City should be prioritized is because they do have a fixture in Game Week 26, and that's against Bournemouth away. So I know that Bournemouth might be the new defensive giants of the Premier League, but against Man City, it's a completely different game, and not getting a blank in 26 is quite integral. Now, if you guys don't own a Phil Foden, you can also look at him, obviously a cheaper option, great asset, but because I own him, Kevin De Bruyne is high on my watch list. Now, in terms of Liverpool assets, definitely Darwin Núñez is my favorite at the current moment. If Mo Salah is back for Game Week 24 and he's fit for 25, he obviously would be there. I just feel like between Darwin and Jota, Darwin is the more explosive option. Yes, Jota might be more clinical, but Darwin's definitely the main threat in that Liverpool attack, but it's quite close between them. Fortunately for you guys, this debate is very easy to make. You just kind of check if you want a midfielder or a forward. Whoever's easiest to replace and who you can afford, you can side with either of them. I mentioned this early on, but I am actually looking to take out Dom Solanke for Darwin Núñez, as I'm getting 3 fixtures versus 2. I also want to put this out there, if you guys are looking to bring in a Darwin Núñez or a Jota, I would do it this week. Yes, you might want more information for Game Week 25's double, but the Game Week 24 fixture against Burnley is too hard to ignore, so I believe the best upside is bringing them in this game week. Now, there are some other teams that do have a double game week. We got Brentford and Luton, and Ivan Toney's always a great shot, but I would prioritize Darwin Núñez instead. And there's been some talk about the Luton goalkeeper, as they might have a double game week in 28 against Bournemouth. I will cover that though, as we do go over the team selection coming up later on, as Game Week 28 right now's double is a rumor. Now, do you guys agree with me for double Game Week 25? Should De Bruyne be the priority or should Darwin Núñez? And is there another Man City or Liverpool player that I've missed out on? Now, the last talking point, as always, to wrap up this ultimate guide will be the Camsey debate. And this week we have 3 great options that all have great fixtures and great points potential. Now, as always, anytime Erling Haaland is back to full fitness, he's going to be the main kind of effective ownership shout. And with Everton at home, he's going to be hard to ignore. Now, fixers are projecting him to score the most points at 6.6, and I can probably agree with that. So definitely the safest option to go for. Not everyone has owned Erling Haaland at the current moment, but I think most people, the chances in will be quite high for Game Week 24 and definitely for double Game Week 25. So if you guys do want to go differential, there are 2 great assets. Now, the first one is Darwin Núñez against Burnley at home, 4.2 projected points, but Fix doesn't really like him at the moment, maybe because he can't finish his dinner. But I think any Liverpool asset, Trent, even if he's going to start, Jota, Darwin are all great shouts, as I expect Liverpool to win quite comfortably. Another punt could be Richarlison against Brighton at home. They're not really the best defense at the current moment, and Richarlison's on great form, and Spurs overall are attacking fine, and his predicted points is 5.3. But yet again, heed caution if you guys don't go for Erling Haaland. His effective ownership will be sky high yet again, and fortunately back to kind of the perma captain. Now in the comments down below, who are you guys captaining for the upcoming Game Week 24? Also let me know how Game Week 23 went. Did you guys get a green arrow or a red arrow? And how's that overall rank looking? But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Team selection coming up probably on Thursday. So for the time being, I'm going to be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.